Hey guys, welcome to another Eat Smart Nutrition lesson. Today we're going to talk about portion sizes. And trust me, I know and I understand how awful and mundane breaking out a measuring cup or measuring spoons can be every time that you sit down to prepare a meal and snack, because you want to be precise and right on the money when you log your foods and things like that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but over time it can get old, and you may get out of the habit of doing that because it can be so time consuming, and it can just literally be a pain in the butt, to be quite frank. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about specific items that you have maybe lying around your house that you can use to visualize what a cup looks like, what an ounce looks like, and other measuring units, so that when you look at a plate of food, you can accurately assess how much food that you have on your plate, which then can get translated into the journal, and you have a much more accurate nutrition log on a daily basis. So let's talk about that today, and let's begin with a few important points. Being able to visualize portion sizes is a great way to control how much that you eat at a meal and snack. And one of the biggest reasons why this lesson needs to be done now instead of later is this will help you become much better at logging your daily food intake. So let's start and learn about what we can use to represent 1 cup. I'm going to give you 2 options. You can either use the size of a baseball or the size of your closed fist. All of those, or both of those options, can be used to represent 1 cup. So just as an easy example, that can be a cup of mashed potatoes, it can be a cup of corn, it can be a cup of ice cream, so on and so forth, just a few examples, but that's what you can use to represent what about a cup looks like, a baseball or a closed fist. A half a cup, you could use a ice cream scoop. So if you would, take an ice cream scoop, put it into a container of ice cream, and you level it off and you put it on your plate, that's roughly equal to half a cup. Or you could use like a half a baseball, or if you can even kind of visualize half of your fist, that would also equal half of a cup. 1 tablespoon is used in terms of your thumb, from the tip to the first joint. And you can see those lines going there showing you that if you wanted to consume a tablespoon of peanut butter, a tablespoon of applesauce, a tablespoon of mayonnaise, instead of breaking out a measuring cup and doing that, use the tip of your thumb to its first joint. That is roughly going to be equal to 1 entire tablespoon. And what about a teaspoon? Well, you're going to break out your index finger and use the tip to the first joint to represent a teaspoon. So once again, that could be a teaspoon of peanut butter, it can be a teaspoon of mayonnaise, it can be a teaspoon of ketchup. Most of you on calorie budgets are going to be using teaspoons a lot to estimate things like peanut butter and other high calorie spreads like that. So use the tip of your finger to the first joint to represent 1 teaspoon. Or you could also use 3 stacked nickels. It's also going to be roughly equal to 1 teaspoon, 3 stacked nickels. 3 ounces of cooked meat could be your palm, okay, minus the fingers and thumb. So if you would cut off your fingers and thumb and look at your palm of your hand, that's going to be roughly equal to 3 ounces of cooked meat, which is what a typical portion is for a lot of the lean meats, such as chicken, turkey, ham, roast beef, lean beefs, things like that. Or you could use a stack of playing cards. So either one of those 2 can be used to represent what 3 ounces of cooked meat looks like. What about 1 ounce, such as an ounce of cheese, an ounce of cooked meat? You'll see in the journals that a lot of the meats are, the serving sizes that I have in there are 1 ounce cooked. So what does that look like? Well, simply use the tip of your thumb to the base of your thumb. So the entire length of your thumb all the way down to the base, right there where that bottom line's going across, is roughly equivalent to 1 ounce of cooked meat or cheese or anything else that 1 ounce may represent that's not a liquid. Now what about 6 inches? And you might be thinking, well, what am I use 6 inches for? Well, we use 6 inches a lot, such as like a 3-inch banana, 6-inch tortillas, a 3-inch grapefruit, things like that. So if you can visualize a dollar bill, which is 6 inches in length, and you cut that in half, fold the dollar bill in half, that's 3 inches. And you'll see in a lot of the recipes and a lot of the snacks, you're going to be asked to consume at least a 3-inch banana And instead of breaking out a tape measure and things like that, just visualize a dollar bill, half that dollar bill, and there's about 3 inches, or the whole length would be 6. And then finally, a piece of fruit. You're going to see lots of sizes for apples and oranges and things like that. So what is a large piece of fruit? What is a medium-sized piece? Well, use a baseball to represent about a large-sized piece of fruit, and a medium-sized piece of fruit is going to be about the size of a tennis ball. So there you go. There's some easy ways that you can visualize your portion sizes, so the next time that you sit down and you have a plate of food, you can get into that journal, into your personal nutrition journals, and log your foods significantly more accurately than what you're doing right now. Now, keep in mind too, it takes a little bit of time. Be patient. You'll get better as the program goes on, and you'll become much better at logging your food and getting a really good, accurate picture as to what you're really getting and putting inside your body. I hope that helped. I'll see you guys again in the next lesson. Bye-bye.